Hello and welcome to another Jeff Walker Discussions. Today we're going to be talking about the fate of Star Wars. I have seen the finale of Mando Season 3, and it was good. The battles were interesting, and it's kind of interesting to see the take of the Mandalorians. It almost seems like Jedi in a way. He's taking on Grogu as his apprentice and his son, kind of like thing. But at least it didn't go in the way that some people were predicting, that Bo-Katan was going to take over the series and it was going to be all about her Mandalorian. But I'm glad that they decided not to do that. But at the same time, there's been announcements that the next series of trilogy movies will be based on Rey rebuilding the Jedi Order. I have a strong opinion to this, as many will contest to, but I do not like the Rey story arc. I don't mind Daisy Ridley. I don't consider her the problem of where that whole sequel trilogy went. I consider it the writing and Disney and Kathleen Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy pretty much killed a lot of fanfare for it. That was a stupid move. That was a reckless move by her because she's got some grudge against George Lucas. Now, I don't know why, but she seems to be wanting to destroy George Lucas's legacy by trying to shape it into her own image. And I think that's rather egotistical on her part. I mean, George is ego enough, but I mean, to her to sort of steal. And to me, that's what it is. When you see any of these comics and in books swapping out characters, to me, that's stealing. That means you couldn't create something of your own, so you're just going to swap them out. So here she goes again, announcing movies that they either will or will not make, but they're bringing up people and showing them, and the movie hasn't even been scripted yet. The movie hasn't even been signed on yet. I have lost my faith in, the Star Wars franchise. There's too many series now. They're focusing too much on things that fans of different... See, they splintered the fandom of Star Wars, too. Now there's, different fandom splinters. But, I mean, George did that, too, back with the prequels, because there are prequel fans and there are non-prequel fans. I'm somewhere in the middle. I like the original. The original, to me, will always be the original. And that is the storyline I like to go by. The prequels were okay, but, I mean, I envisioned it a lot differently. I'm glad by Revenge of the Sith it kind of changed the direction of where it was going slightly. But I still think he could have done better at the ending. But that's my opinion, right? I mean, when I was a kid, I had a terrific vision of how it was going to be, and then it just totally got destroyed by the prequels. And that's the problem. When you try to envision something about a series or a franchise, and then people come and kind of destroy the mythos of it. You know, for some reason, I don't know what it is. Doctor Who's going that way, and pretty much destroyed the entire mythos of Doctor Who. And they have, and I do feel strongly about that. Not so much as that they put a woman in the... I could care less about the way... It's the way that they wrote it. They wrote it, they politicized it. Stop. Please stop doing that. These are escapisms that we need to get to. These are shows that gave us hope in some sense. And we don't want to be sit there and lectured with a finger in a face. If you've got issues, then take it up with another movie or TV show that you can create of your own. Don't use other icons to build your soapbox with. I know that the Star Wars movies are just dragging. The TV shows that are coming out, I'm not looking forward to them. Ahsoka, maybe a little bit, but I've seen the trailer and I know where it's going, and I hope to God it doesn't turn into some sort of, I don't know what to call it, over empowerment of speech kind of thing. Do I like the idea of Thrawn coming into this? I was never a big fan of the Thrawn series. I mean, I like the character. I hope that they do better justice to the character than I saw in the books, because the books, despite what I may think, what fans may think of me for like bashing the books of the Thrawn series, I wasn't a fan of the Thrawn series. I liked the character, like I said, but he didn't have enough power, I want to say. Like, he just didn't seem that threatening to me in the books. He was intelligent. He could do things in a certain way. He calculates. But in the books, it was so poorly executed. Timothy Zahn just has this way of, I don't know, dragging it out. And then each book was, obviously, this was meant to be a series of books, but he always ended it on like a weird cliffhanger. And now I saw an article where he was comparing it to a pie. And I swear to God, he compared it to an apple pie. And I just had to sit there and thought, well, what a weird comparison to talk about the arc of the story as an apple pie. And now he didn't describe it in a way of like a baker, taking time. No, he described it as a juicy pie with lots of filling. And I thought, well, that was the stupidest comment I've ever heard in my life. Oh, geez. I honestly don't know where he's going with that one. I can be critical of him, sure, because I'm not a fan. And if you're a fan, that's great. That's why that's out there. That's why there's books. A lot of books people will love. A lot of books people will hate. And so goes with the movies. My son likes the new trilogies. So I don't badmouth it too much in front of him. But he likes it for what it is. And, that's the generation for that. But for me, I could have written that thing so much better. I don't mind that Rey was going to be the arc character, but I more so would think that Finn was the awakening that they were talking about, because he was the pinnacle first character in the beginning of that story. And I think that it was supposed to be on him that the Force was warning the others about, that he is the awakening Force element, and that not Rey, because Rey looked like she didn't even need training. They said, she was getting training by Luke. No, she didn't. She didn't get any training from Luke. Luke just made her sit there and said, breathe. Wow. Mind-blowing. Whereas Yoda, was instructing him for how many weeks? You don't get a timeline in the Star Wars movies. They just, this could have been happening over the course of weeks, months, whatever. In the movies you couldn't drag it out that long. And the same goes for her, because she was not paying attention to anything he was saying. And I'm so tired of the way that they treated Luke. His character could have done so much more. The finale of his death was just an insult to fans everywhere. And now it's an even more insult to have him not even be in the new Jedi Order. When I say again about the books that I wasn't a big fan of the Star Wars legacy or whatever the legends, some of the books weren't that great. But I mean, it's been established that he would be creating the new Jedi Order. And, in the movies they said he did, but then that he did such a lousy job. Really? I don't get this. I don't get why they're having to put down characters. You could just easily transition it. But no, you got to outright destroy the character and bring in this new one and say everything's hunky-dory. It pisses me off. It really does when I see stuff like this. because I said that's just such bad writing. It's lazy ass writing. This is producers shoving in their own mentalities into it, and you just sit there and you shake your head at why is this continuing? Like, just leave it to somebody that's knowledgeable and capable of doing this. I know Filoni is a big fan of the Star Wars genre, and I know he wrote his own characters in with this Ahsoka and all of her friends in the Rebels saga. But I would like to see it change a lot. I would love to see Finn. Actually, Finn should be the star of the new prequels, or the new sequels that are being. I really think that he should be the main Jedi in the new sequels, because he got such a raw deal in the last ones. They just kind of slowly shoved him over each film, and what an injustice that was to him. Honestly, I think it should have been all three of them, Poe, Rey, and Finn, as the trinity of Force users. Because Poe was obviously very skilled, too skilled to be a pilot like that. So he should have had an arc as well as being part of a Jedi, And that's what it should have been focused on, the three of them, discovering that they're awakening in their Force use. And that would have worked a lot better as a story arc than what we got. What we got was utter crap. And then they shoved Palpatine back in. He was dead. Leave him, Anyway, the fate of Star Wars is just not there anymore. I'm sorry to say, but I think it's gone. As a fan, I'm utterly frustrated and just so dismayed that she was allowed to destroy it. And I'm talking about Kathleen Kennedy, because she did ultimately destroy it. And now she's going to destroy Indiana Jones, the new movie coming out, which doesn't sound anything like Indiana Jones. The Dial of Destiny? What a stupid name for a movie. Time travel. Oh, of course, time travel. Anytime you see time travel shoved into a film, you just know it's not, other than Star Trek, who can handle it. I mean, it's just not good. I mean, I don't think time travel should be in a Star Wars universe. It just shouldn't. But, I mean, there's some lore out there now about some sacred room where you could jump into from one dimension or one time era to another. And I don't know how to feel about that. I think if that did happen, they should have jumped back before this whole thing began of the Force Awakens and just got rid of Rey, if that's the case. But, I mean, I'm not adverse to modernizing the Star Wars legacy, but I would rather that they ended that whole thing of the original trilogy and jump forward like 1,000 years past the others, so that they could create a new legacy for themselves, right? So that they didn't have to rely on the old material. But, I mean, they could rely on some of the old material to boost the new one. And had they had done that, maybe it would have been far more successful than it was. But then they said, well, you have to, establish, you bring in the other characters to lure the fans back. Not if you made it look good. Not if you wrote it like a very good one. You could have done so much more with it. You could have created a whole new mythos around some of the stuff. But no, they're doing that. Anyway, now that there's different Star Wars series in effect, the Book of Boba Fett, oh, what a stinker that was. They just destroyed his character completely, and I think that's awful. And now they want to make a Luke Skywalker series? No, don't touch him. Don't touch that man. Because we all know where it's ultimately going to go. And now I said that when the Mandalorian started shifting into the sequel trilogies with some of their linking, I said it's going to link because Disney cannot say that it is not part of the mythos, because they have to. This is theirs. They own up to it. They have to link it somehow. And I know there was like a few, like Doomcock was hoping that they'd get rid of it completely, but no. And Nerdronics was touting on about just like killing the franchise and rebooting it. But I mean, Kathleen Kennedy is trying to create like a woman-only version, and I don't know why. I mean, to me, I would like to have men and women characters that were equals in every way. George did it perfectly. He didn't make Leia a helpless victim. He crafted her into someone that was strong and doable. There wasn't enough woman characters, I get it, but there could be. I mean, it's just a sign of the times that we're living in, and it's just, part of the history of humanity, how we're progressing and moving. And in each film you can see that, but everybody seems to decry a certain aspect of when they see something like that, and they go, "Oh, that movie was like whatever, let's ban it." And it's like, it's history. You can't ban it. It's part of what we are, how we keep moving along. You just keep moving along. Don't keep thinking about what it was. Go think about where we're going. Anyway, that's my little rant about that one. So now they're also doing the Visions, sort of like a multi-universe timeline of animation. And I did see the first group of animated ones, and I thought they were pretty good. It's good to see it at different perspectives, different angles, storylines. Some of it was a little weird, and I didn't care for it. I know some of it was all manga inspired, and the manga can get weird sometimes. But I mean, some of it was really good. I did like some of it. I loved the samurai elements that they were incorporating in some of them. And now there's another season of it coming out, so that's good. So that's where we're at. I think that I don't know. I don't think I could keep up with this Star Wars if the way it's going. I think they do need to pull back. I do think they need to stop oversaturating the Star Wars so much. I don't think they should have created a TV series, to be honest with you. Mando should have just been its own lone movie. And I think there should have been less movies and less TV shows. Obi-Wan's terrible TV show. Oh, what a tragedy that one was. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of what they do to these characters. They made Obi-Wan like this useless piece of it was just disappointing what they did. I don't think they know how to handle this stuff. They really don't, and they shouldn't be in charge of it. I don't think they should be in charge of it. I think they should sell it and give it to somebody else that knows how to do it. And they should hold back on the reins of Star Wars a bit more, because it's just killing it. Just killing it, and I'm not happy about it. Like I said, I could have written better arcs. I think a lot of fans probably think they can write better arcs than what we were given. And had they followed some of the mythos of the legends, maybe. I mean, they're starting to incorporate Thrawn into it, but it sounds like they're taking Rey or Ahsoka and making that, and replacing Luke from that role, which I think is abysmal. And I think that shouldn't be allowed to happen. I think Luke's arc is much more palatable than Rey and even Ahsoka. I don't know how Ahsoka seemed to got into Thrawn, but we'll see how that goes. Will I watch it? More than likely. I'm still hoping on hope. I mean, the Mando season, it was pretty good, but it could have been better. And now I hear that there is a fourth series where they're probably going to just be kind of connecting the two shows as the Ahsoka series and then Rangers of the New Republic, which I am still adamant that I don't know what to say. I just think it could be done so much better. They don't need to do this. Constantly ruining the franchise. They need to control it a bit better. And that's my thought on the whole thing. I know I don't like talking about Star Wars a whole lot. I did a review of the Tales of the Jedi, and I gave it less than stellar review, just because it wasn't enough story on there to like get into it. I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't great. I wasn't overwhelmed by, I wasn't impressed by too much of that one. I mean, I wish they would focus more on the younger Jedi, maybe the Old Republic, maybe, but certainly not the High Republic. Oh my God! See, that's another destruction there. They got this High Republic. There's no High Republic. I don't acknowledge that there's a High Republic. There's no such thing. I don't acknowledge it. I don't exist. That doesn't exist in my mind. Having read some of the books, I was utterly disgusted that Lucasfilm would allow that to happen. I don't enjoy them. They're not books to me, and they're not part of the mythos. I don't acknowledge it at all. And I hope to God they don't make any movies of it, because I really, really don't want to see it out there. Because it looks like crap, and it reads like crap. And I just hope it dies a short death. How do you really feel about it, Jeff? Well, true enough, I've got my own things to worry about. The Jungle Planet is out. I had already had one good person who I gave the Arc 2 give me a thumbs up for it, and he loved the book, so that's great. I got one person on my side already. So yeah, I've got other books to write. Maybe I'll create my own arcs, my own things, and maybe that's what it should be. Maybe we should just leave the trilogy as it was and is, the prequels as they are and how they will always be. But I don't know about the sequels. I can't rewatch any of them. It's that bad. And I was a huge Star Wars fan, and now I find my fandom dwindling because of this, which is sad, because I think we should all have something dear to us to remember, and a new legacy, maybe, I guess, to continue on, but it doesn't look like it's happening here, because I don't like any of the stories. I don't like any of the characters. Mando started out good, but then it fizzled, as usual, with some rather bad producers, bad people in charge of these franchises. Doctor Who is no longer one of my favorites anymore. I will always look back on the older ones as the only thing I'll acknowledge. And I really do think that Doctor should have stopped at 12, because that's what we were promised. He would add 12 generations, with 13 in total, really. And that should have been it. And his story arc is done. And that they should just reboot it, because that's where it should be. And I know that and originally they wanted him to just keep regenerating on and on and on, but I'm like, at some point you've got to kill it. Some point you have to like put it in the end and then go back from the beginning. And I think the same might be true for Star Wars. They really wanted to remake this a long time ago, from the beginning again. And fans were adverted to like even think of that. But as things start to progress now, the more you look at it and go, maybe it does need a modernization, but not this way, because the way Kennedy wants it, it just sounds awful. Just sounds awful. And I hope to God it never sees the light of day. So my thoughts on Star Wars is that the fate is sealed. They are done. This is not Star Wars anymore. It's become something else. And I know I sound somber about it, because I am. They've literally crushed the spirit of what Star Wars is, and just like crumpled up in the faces of all these loyal fans. To me, that makes no sense whatsoever. You want those fans. I don't care if you're trying to create a new audience. You got the old fans here to support you. You don't support the old fans, they will not come to your movies. They will not support your shows. And we've seen that already with the Boba Fett. That it was horrible. And the fans detested it greatly. And I'm glad that they spoke out. I'm glad that the fandom is trying to fight back against this tyrannical empire, trying to destroy the legacy that was already established. And that's my strong opinion on that. Which is why I don't talk about Star Wars a whole lot. Because I'm too passionate about it. And I guess just much as what's that one guy called, Star Wars Theory? He was very passionate, and then he just would flip-flop sometimes, just because he's had time to think about it, and people jumped on him for that. Well, I'm not flip-flopping. I just don't like where this Star Wars film is going, and I'm just I'm frustrated and done with it. Just am. Until somebody can show me something where it reignites me, I'm just not excited for any of this new stuff coming out. Just not. I have no. I go into it without any misgivings. I don't go into it without any. I feel numb. When we first heard that the Star Wars films were coming back, I was excited. I was launched. I was ready for it. And then when I saw it, and then when the other films came out, it broke me. And I thought, what a terrible thing to do to somebody that's been a loyal fan for all those years. And it's disheartening that that's going on in other franchises too. Doctor Who, not even Star Trek. I mean, how can you ruin something that's already set up? I just don't get it. Why are they trying to destroy the legacies of these franchises? Why? What's the point? I think you're just trying to spit on the original creators. And to me, that's a sign of disrespect in every regard. And that person should be shunned 100%. And that's my belief on it. Because if my books, years down the way, started getting turned around, characters removed, I would hope people would fight and say, no, this is how he wrote it. This is who the character is. Don't change a damn thing about it. And if you do, then it's not his original work. And you should not exist. Yeah, I get passionate about it. I'm sorry. But that's how I feel. I mean, this is my legacy as much as any other fans, as well as George Lucas's. It was his original vision. It was his. I'm sure he's not enjoying some of the things that are happening, and then he signed it over. He probably regrets signing it over, but he did it for a charity. He did it for a charity, so that he could give money to his charity. That, to me, was the biggest sacrifice of his part, to hand his legacy over to somebody else, and she ruined it. She utterly destroyed it in front of his face and laughed. I thought, what a crazy woman. And he felt that was like a betrayal of biblical standards. And I think her legacy is one of utter shame. We should all shun this woman for what she did. And like I said, I don't care if it was a woman as the lead role, so long as that the story made sense, so long as the story had a purpose for this character. And it should. I was hoping Finn would be in there too. That they were both going to be equals, but they weren't. They weren't. So, to me, that just destroyed the whole thing. And that's all I'm going to leave it on. That was my Star Wars rant. Like I said, I don't want to keep going on about it. But to me, I just, this is how I feel. I just feel like it is such betrayal to me and the rest of the fandom that you've hurt us so badly that this is what it's come to. And I really do hope that somebody, somewhere, does something to bring this about again. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Jon Favreau. I don't think it's going to be Filoni. Because they seem to skim on that surface of what that's already been established because of Kennedy's doing, and they have no way of steering it off. So I hope one day it'll get better. But it probably won't be in my lifetime. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Thanks ever so much to listening to my rant. I hope you feel the same way as I do about the Star Wars. And if you don't, I'm sure you'll leave a comment to let me know otherwise. So I'll just get back to doing something about my books and focusing more on my books and other topics other than Star Wars, because I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's how bad it is. I don't want to talk about it anymore. All right, I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. This has been a Jeff Walker's Books discussion. If you like this program, please subscribe. And if you want to read more of his books, The Long Lost War, The Massive Planet, The Mysterious World of Professor Dark and Miss Shadow, please visit his website at jeffwalkerbooks.weebly.com. Please, if you feel the need to review one of his books, he would be ever so grateful that you would. You may go and visit it on Amazon or anywhere else where books are now available.